Welcome to Faux for your haunt. I'm your host, Patrick Coppinger. Faux finishing is one of the oldest forms of art known to civilization, traditionally passing skills and techniques from artisan to apprentice. Now we're coming to the part of the project that we masked the setup for. This part's going to be a little messy because we're going to do some spattering. If you refer to our spattering segment, we're going to use a brush and a stick. We're just going to spatter the surface, and we want to kind of get this a little dense. So we're going to keep spattering it until we get to where we want to get with it. I prefer a heavier spatter than a loose spatter. So if you look around in nature, you don't really see like granite being a real sparse dot matrix. You can angle the brush up and get it right up underneath. With a little more force, you can get a little more spatter off of the brush. It helps you get the denseness that you need. Work a little quicker with it. This will give you quite a workout. Now we're going to add the second color. Well, it should actually be the third color, but the second color for spatter. You really don't have to be as heavy with this color. This breaks up the other two. Hit your brush a couple times before you go to the surface to knock off excess paint so you don't have big globs hitting the surface and creating striations. That'd be more of a splattering technique than it would be a spattering. But once you got to where you want it and the coverage you want, let it dry thoroughly. And we can come back and do our cut stone. And we snap some lines. Now we're going to do some cut stone. We'll follow our line, cutting it in. You don't have to be perfect with this because it's cut stone. Cut stone's not even. If you get too perfect with it, it's not going to look natural. Paint your mortar line in. Try not to make it, too thick. Sometimes what happens is it becomes very wide, and that doesn't look very natural either. Now that we got the horizontal lines going in, we'll go back and put in our verticals. On the vertical lines, you kind of want to round the edge on both sides. That stone usually is rounded off. Bring it straight down. Round the corner a little bit. Doesn't have to be exact on both sides. They don't exactly have to be the same length either. Sometimes the stone is a little bit longer. Somebody decided they're going to cut a big one. Sometimes they cut a small one, but they always stagger. stagger your vertical lines. And then what we're going to do once we put these in, we're going to come back and put in some highlights and definition. Kind of make them stand out a little bit since it's a two-dimensional surface. And say that the light's coming from this direction, from the right and down. So we're going to go along the edge, the upper edge. We're going to put the white on the top, right side. Follow the corner around, bring it down on the edge. And this will bring a little bit of a light glare to the edge of the rock. I'm going to take the black and come along the bottom edge. This side would have the shadow to it. And the opposite side of the white. You can use your finger as a guide. It helps steady your hand. And it gives you a guide as you paint straight lines. Detail will take you a little bit of a time. As I mentioned earlier, there's more mechanized ways of doing spatter. This video is all about the basics. As with everything else that we've talked about in this DVD, I want to step back every once in a while and take a look. And what I'm going to do is scumble a little bit of white and black into the mortar, give it some more dimension. Shading, some depth. This will help it take on more of a three-dimensional life, even though it's a two-dimensional surface. Mixing a little bit of white with the black to get a little bit of darker gray to scumble in. You want to keep the darker along the bottom of your black line. Come back, you want a little bit lighter near the white lines. You'd have that reflection up there. And this will help everything just kind of jump right off the board. Just kind of scumble it right in there. Don't be afraid of it. Put a few chips and break points in your rock just to make it have a little dimension. You can do this with your grays again. Using the light grays and the dark grays. You just kind of want to put them in and then come back, make them, highlight them and define them. And this will help give the stones a little bit more dimension. You don't really want to make it opaque when you come down to the shading. You want to allow the the spatter to show through. You can always highlight and define these too. Taking the white line, going along the edge of the top of the chip. So of course, if it's recessed, it's going to be a little darker. So you have some shadow to it. You can even put in a darker line next to that to make it a little deeper. You can put as much or as little detail in it as you'd like. And this is our final project. Now I'll pull the tape. And this is what you can do with the basic techniques that I've shown you in the video when you combine them.